center, if you were to devolve powers and the central government is not controlling as much as it is controlling now, there will be no noise. There will be no noise about local government autonomy. So you must understand where people are coming from in order to address this issue. How did we get here? People who, and I have no apology, people who are illiterate as far as federalism as a system of government is concerned are put us into this trouble. How can you run a federal republic and federal government wants to legislate on hotels and restaurants, but for the intervention of the Supreme Court? What the federal government of Nigeria presently controls, they have demonstrated total lack of capacity to take care of it. And tell me, railway, electricity, federal roads, tell me what is working. And yet you want to acquire more. Because by allowing federal government to legislate via its organ, National Assembly, on local government, then it ceases to be local government because local government must be local. It must be indigenous.
Yeah, but
now, one of the reasons why people have, sorry to interrupt you, Chairman, one of the reasons why people have said that the local governments, were not working is because they had joint accounts with the state. And for some reason, it would seem that the monies that the local governments were supposed to have wasn't getting there. And one of the reasons why the state governments, many of them, or governors, if you ask them, they always jumped in defense of their local governments, is that they never get enough funds. They always have to support argument, in fact, that the monies that they get might not even be enough to pay salaries. So if at the end of the day, the local governments themselves were clamoring for this autonomy, as it were, don't you think that it will all come to light, or they will be forced to be creative at the end of the day to make ends meet?
I agree with you that the regime of state joint local government account has been abused, and therefore it has to be looked into. I concede that. I also know that local government must be autonomous. Autonomous from the state, not from the federal government. The autonomy of the local government is as far as its relationship with the state is concerned, based on the constitution that will be in operation between the state and the local government. Local government must not have anything to do with the federal government. Otherwise, it ceases to be local government. It's an indigenous government. It's a government that is closest to the people, and therefore, people who are not members of that community, either indirectly or directly, should have nothing to do regarding legislation. If you grant autonomy to local government, and National Assembly makes law for local government, then it simply means people from Odiremo, Ekperu, where I come from, will be part of legislative process for local governments in Naira Kamoda. It does not make sense.
We still have
it's never worked anywhere in the world. As a matter of fact, it has never been practiced.
Is that the implication of it?
Well, that is the implication when you say local government must have autonomy. As a tier of government, you put it into the constitution. National Assembly will have the power to legislate on matters touching and concerning local government.
You know, if we go with your own argument and we decide to say, let's go back to the way it should truly go, let it be under the states, you still haven't been able to tell us how we can democratize this. How do we pick the leaders? How do we choose the councillors, those that will represent the people?
I've told you, you must care to listen, that the relationship or the establishment, the control, and what have you, including elections, must be controlled by the state or the regional government, as the case may be. Let me quickly add, because you're going to mention that, SEC, State Independent Electoral Commission, they are rigging election. We have seen lousy elections being conducted. I agree with you. Now, but what is wrong in you go and read Uwe's recommendation on how to solve this problem? But we abandoned it. This is a country where you see the truth and they won't follow it. The recommendation for composition of INEC to ensure its independence. at the federal level have also been recommended in pari materia to State Independent Electoral Commission, but we have refused to implement it. And then working very hard in the wrong direction. Lazy people behave like that.
Yeah, but Mr. Adigbe, even if they implement that recommendation with respect to appointment of INEC chairman and SEAC chairman, and then even the local government autonomy, the way things currently are, do you think they can really be independent?
The way to ensure their independence is this. There can't be two tiers of government in the states. One must go. I made that submission here. I would prefer we scrap all the states and have autonomous, mark my word please, autonomous, resource controlling, ethnic-based local governments. They will not be strong to threaten the unity of Nigeria, unlike a region. Let me disambiguate. People who are opposed to a regional system of government will readily acknowledge that it is the best way to go. I mean, I've asked the question, let me ask again. Do you guys know Nigeria more than the Awolowos, Tafa Balewa, Amadu Bello, and the rest of them of this world?
But times have changed.
Nothing has changed in terms of governance. The local government system in UK started in 1889. There have been 3 reforms. So when it is because of our mentality, times have changed, and you begin to change your laws as if you're changing your clothes. Yeah, American Constitution 1787. How many amendments have they gone through? President Ronald Reagan, when he was President of America, spearheaded the movement that, hey, let us give the states and the local government more responsibilities. And that is why in the U.S. today, those things that touch and concern you, the counties take care of them. I'm not saying it is straightforward. It is controversial. But the starting point is, I agree that there will be 2 tiers of government recognized by the Constitution. Once you recognize local government as a tier of government in the Constitution,
can we finally phase out all the local governments and say, states, go all out and tell us how it should be? Because apart from Lagos, that has actually added to it, finally calling them LCDAs, almost all the local governments, were created by the federal government, isn't it?
Brilliant suggestion. You're saying, scrap the local governments, let's have the states. I'm saying, scrap the states, let's have the local government. So it's a function of the advantages and disadvantages of the position, just opposing same with mine. For me, states are artificial creation of the military. But local governments themselves, the way they are, also artificial creation of the military. But the local governments I'm talking about, please let me repeat myself for purposes of clarity and emphasis. Autonomous, resource controlling, tribal or ethnic-based local government, so that when you give the Ogonis their local government and they can explore the resources in their areas of jurisdiction and pay tax to the federal government, you have solved the problem of ethnicity, which is a major problem in Nigeria. Let them continue to behave like ostrich. Let them continue to print forms from the federal government and put no state of origin or tribe. Even in advanced countries of the world, they put it there. What you need to do is develop mechanism for ensuring that the centrifugal forces are pulled in. And how do you pull them in? Allow them their freedom to develop at their own pace. After all, countries in Europe, when they are separate ways, and at some point, everybody knew its level. One second, you know Germany has the strongest economy. Okay? In Europe. And you know the economy of Portugal, economy of Ireland, fortune as the case may be.
But now
they are saying they want to come back. have been given the opportunity to establish their strength. Let us also allow